Okay, this is getting into the slightly heavier stuff now. Warm-ups, to be honest with you, aren't superb at the moment. I just pulled 260 and it didn't feel great. It felt reasonably heavy in the hands. I haven't actually even watched the video. A lot of the time I don't, I'm just training. But I'm gonna go up anyway. I'm gonna pull 7 and then I'll make a decision at 7 if it's gonna be a heavy day or a moderate day. Sometimes you have to live to fight another day. But also you have to have those kind of days where your back's against the wall a little bit. You had a long day, a little bit tired. You know, you kind of dig in anyway. So when I got to 300 kilos on the deficit, and I'm gonna make a decision from there. I'll probably hit it for a single or a double. And my body will tell me if this is gonna be a cut off there and move on, or do I go up? Sometimes you just have to have a conversation with yourself and get yourself psychologically prepared. Tap into whatever you need to tap into. So, yeah, 300 was okay. 300 was okay. 260 sucked. 300 was good. I felt strong. I'm gonna go to 340. Just kind of letting you know into a little bit of my thought process tonight. It's going okay now. My body's starting to fire a little bit. Hit 340. Decisions. Because whatever I do next is probably going to be my top set. Now, I've hit 360 before, so I know I can do that. 380 was the target. 400's the target in the long run, but we have to get 380 before we do 400. Now if I do 360, it's going to take away from my top set, potentially. Decisions. Give me a minute. Okay. I decided to do 380. Yeah, that was, we got there eventually. And it just goes to show you, even an old man like me, who's got some decent experience and some decent numbers, we all have good days and bad days. And we all have those times where things don't seem to be going right and we're not warming up properly or whatever. And sometimes you have to leave the gym. Sometimes you have to back off. And sometimes you just have to have a word with yourself. Today was definitely the latter. Have a word with yourself. Sort yourself out. And I got there eventually. And I got the 380. So I was pleased, very pleased. 380 on a deficit is super heavy for me. I don't think I've done 380 before. Or if I have, not for a very long time. I can't remember doing 380 before. And I've done 360 for a few reps. I've hit 360 for 5, I think it was, a few weeks ago. What was that, about 3 weeks ago, I think it was, something like that. But I'm really, really pleased, So yeah, that's pretty much it. So the idea of the deficit deadlift is that it's going to support my main deadlift. You guys know I use an axle almost exclusively. Between an axle and a trap bar, that's what I do my deadlifts on most of the time. I know quite a few of you have asked me before, but I know I've got a lot of new subscribers. I do have an Olympic bar, and I bent my Olympic bar. I bent my Olympic bar quite a while ago now, pulling something over 400 kilos, and the bar's pretty worthless now. I use it for shrugs here and there. I haven't got the heart to throw it away, and I haven't got the heart to buy a new one because it cost me quite a lot of money at the time, and it just made me very sad. So it's just kind of a bent monument in the corner of my gym that's just gathering dust. So I use a axle. I'm not a big fan of whip in a bar. Those of you who maybe pull some slightly heavier numbers, you'll know when you start hitting the high 200s into the 300s or more, the bar bends all over the place and it makes you really, really unstable. I'm just not a fan of the feel. I know with a proper deadlift bar, I could probably lift and then the bar will pull up a couple of inches and then I can pull a bit more. But I just like the stiff bar. I like the axle bar. I know exactly what I'm pulling. I know the distance I'm pulling it. Yeah, so anyway, the deficits really I find helps with your conventional deadlift, simply to get that driving force off the ground. Now I know a few years ago there was quite a big movement for like really heavy rack pulls and things like for upper back and to help support the deadlift. I was never a big fan of those. When you actually look at the rack pull, a lot of time when you do a rack pull, particularly a very heavy one, like your kind of maximal sort of weights, we tend to lean back, and it's not what I'd say the conventional bar path of a deadlift. And admittedly, you can completely hyper overload it, absolutely. But I've done a few heavy rack pulls, but as I said, I just never really found a massive benefit to them. And if I'm doing a rack pull, I do it like and shrug. I'll pick it up once and I'll shrug something reasonably heavy. I don't actually do it for repetitions. So a lot of people call it rack pulls. I'll call it one rep and then I do a shrug. But as I said, it works for me. So it really helps overcome that driving force. Just getting used to pulling the bar with force off the ground. Obviously, you're having to travel a couple of inches further. So the plates that I used are probably 2.5 inches thick, something like that. I don't know exactly. They're my thinnest 20 bumper plates. But I've used them consistently now for about 3 sessions. I think this is my third think this is my third heavy deficit session now. And as I said, I hit 360 for a set of 5, and I hit 300 for quite a few reps as well. But this is my kind of third proper heavy one, so already there's been a bit of progress. I don't have any long-term goals with my conventional deadlift at the moment. You guys know, or may have seen on my channel, my top dead I've ever done is 456, which I hit last year, autumn last year. At some point I might get the calling to get back up to that. But my deadlifts have been in a pretty good place recently. I've hit 420 conventional for a few reps. I hit 400 for 5 reps. So over the last couple of months, my conventional deadlift's been in a pretty good place. So I thought, rather than trying to get up to that 456, which is just ridiculous, and it just puts I mean, for anything super heavy in the 300s, puts a lot of strain on your body. But it's nice, I know, and I appreciate the encouragement from like the YouTube community about, you know, pulling heavy weights and all that kind of stuff. And you know, I love pulling heavy weights, but as an older lifter, remember I'm 46, it does take a toll on your body. And I am very aware that I've been very lucky. I've been very blessed with genetics in that I'm 46 and I'm still strong. There's a lot of people who hit their 40s and their strength goes down. But I do have to be aware as an older lifter of recovery and just being aware of getting injured. Because when you're into that top 90+% percentage on your weights, you're just living on borrowed time. I know I'm living on borrowed time, as much as I love lifting. You know, Father Time is undefeated, as they say. I'm holding him off at the moment. I am holding him off at the moment. But I just have to be aware and sometimes pick my battles. And, you know, getting up into those high 400s. Remember, I don't use a deadlift suit. I don't even use a powerlifting belt. I use some figure-of-8 lifting straps, some neoprene knee sleeves, or maybe some knee wraps, and a just conventional gym belt. You know, I don't use any equipment. So it can catch up on you, and you just have to simply be very aware of it. So yeah, the idea of the deficits is, even though I'll be using very heavy weights for a deficit, it's still not, I'm sorry, I'm being bothered by a fly over here. He loves me. It's still not my absolute maximal weights that my body can pull, like into those kind of mid 400s. So as I said, my long-term goal over the next month or two is to hit 400 on this, and then I'll be satisfied. I've pulled some big numbers on my high handle trap bar. I've invested a little bit of strength and time into that, so I've been very pleased with my high handle trap bar. I'm not sure if you'll see this video or the high handle trap bar video first, because I have a big backlog of videos and I don't always upload them in order. I try to mix them up a little bit so you don't keep on getting the same body parts all the time. I've said to you guys before, I don't record everything I do. I train so much, and just not having the hours in the day, I don't record everything I do. You know, I'm not a professional YouTuber. My channel isn't monetized. I don't have enough subscribers for it to be monetized. This is just a little passion project I do for fun, and then have a chat afterwards. But yeah, so if you are finding that you're sticking with your deadlifts a little bit, try including the deficit deadlift. You may find that life feels pretty easy when you go back to using a conventional deadlift. You feel like you're cheating. You really do. It's crazy. Just pulling that extra 2 inches or so you honestly feel like you're cheating. And it really teaches you to utilize leg drive. It really teaches you to just keep form. It really does. Now, deficits, I will kind of say, and they do come with a caveat, they aren't for everyone. They are definitely more suitable for a long-armed lifter. If you are someone who's maybe got slightly shorter arms, you may find that deficits aren't for you. So what I would say is, if you're going to get into deficits, proceed with caution. They are great if you are of the correct stature. But if you find that you are a slightly shorter limb person and you really have to bend over and round your back, they may not be for you. So proceed with caution, start light, get your form down, and then eventually add weight. I've said to you guys before, deficits were not something that I invested very much time in as a younger man. It's only over the last few years that I've really invested any proper time in them, because I did them and I just wasn't doing them properly. And I just thought, rubbish exercise, because I just wasn't setting up properly. My hands were probably too wide. Over the years, I've really changed my stance. I take a much closer stance with my feet. I think when I was younger, I used to maybe take a wider stance. I don't know if you guys have ever seen like Brian Shaw, Thor Bjornsson. I mean, they're obviously giants of men, but they take a really, really wide stance. It obviously suits their frame, but I used to take a stance a little more like that some years ago. But I feel way more powerful with my feet around shoulder width-ish apart. In fact, to be fair, my feet are probably slightly inside shoulder width. So yeah, get them in your workouts, get them in your routine, give them a try, start slowly, build up. And that's pretty much it. Okay, as always, thank you very much if you've taken the time to watch this video. Thank you to the old subscribers, thank you to the new subscribers, thank you to the new viewers. And if you are new and you like what you see, you know, if you enjoy watching a big lump pick up some pretty big weights and then having a bit of a chat afterwards, this is may well be your new favorite channel. I'm pretty drama free. I just like lifting and I like having a chat about it after, and that's pretty much it. All right, anyway, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, hit notifications and all that good stuff. You guys take care and I'll speak to you soon. This is the unglamorous bit they don't tell you about.